Welcome to Entrepreneurs International Network, where entrepreneurs learn, network, and grow. I'm Roger Killen, the organizer. Today, Leslie Flowers is going to help us amplify our results by germinating the seeds of manifestation. Leslie, I have got 4 questions that will help us get to know you as a person.
Okay.
Number 1, what is one of your favorite quotes?
If one advances confidently in the direction of their dreams and endeavors to live the life they've imagined, they will meet with success in uncommon hours. That's Thoreau.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Number 2, what is the biggest personal challenge you've ever had to overcome?
The dissolution of a 30-year marriage.
And I can imagine that one's pretty big. Number 3, what is one of the resources you use frequently?
On my 90-second study of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, these answers are awfully darn good. Number 4, what's the most exciting thing you've ever done?
The thing that I can tell in public or the thing that I can't?
Tell in public.
Okay, great. Most exciting thing I've done, I think, is taking US troops from the United States into Vietnam in the 60s as a flight attendant, so that I got to spend 2 days in Hawaii, 2 days in the Philippines, drop them off in Vietnam, pick up a crew, spend a couple of days in Japan, and head home to San Francisco, drive home in my 2-seater 1960 TR3.
Those were the days.
They were.
Participants, if you can, would you please turn on your video? It's not much. Leslie does not get much energy from a black box with a name in the middle of it. So try and help you by turning on your video, please. Stay muted, but when you do have a question, please type it into the chat. Periodically, I will accumulate the questions and then I'll pose them to Leslie. Rest assured, all your questions will get answered. Now, you're going to be sent a link to the recording of Leslie's talk in a few hours, but I encourage you to take notes anyway, because the very act of writing down what Leslie's key points are will really help you to absorb them. I've mentioned that if you're hearing impaired, you can use the transcript button in order to see the words. So Leslie, are you ready to knock our socks off?
I am, as long as you're now the person bringing people in that might be coming in late, so I can close that window.
The show is all yours. Take it away.
Excellent, excellent. Well, good evening, everyone. It's really an honor to be here. This is one of my favorite things to do. And we're going into the area of the unseen today. And I'm going to be asking you questions, and I'm very interested in your responses. This is a very simple presentation. One of the things that I've learned with 25 years in personal development and 15 years focusing on achievement is that as you become an expert, all of a sudden, all the confusion and the learning over those decades makes everything very crystal clear and simple, down to a few steps. So if you are an expert in your industry, you know what I'm talking about. And so my area of specialty over the last 15 years is achievement. And by that, I mean, I discovered that anybody that I asked over the last 15 years, did anybody teach you how to set a goal? No one said yes. Not in high school, not in university. And yet, success requires achievement in consistent spaced intervals over time so that you develop momentum. Now, we know some things about setting goals, and we've had over our lifetime haphazard and or sporadic results. I began working in 2013, specifically moved to women when I learned about the wage gap. Now, I certainly service men and women. I work in an emerging enterprise, solopreneurs, and entrepreneurs and small business owners. And so the dilemma was, then how would you be successful? What are those 3 out of 100 people doing that everybody else fails to do? What do they know? Because no one ever taught us. We have rules for word problems, don't we? We have rules for algebraic equations, solving those. There are rules for everything. And when you have a rule or a checklist, you have your best chance at achieving. And that is what we want. So over the last 10 years, I've developed the laws of achievement. And over those 9.5 years, my clients set 90-day goals, and the percentages of achievement are in the high 90s, unless there's a catastrophe. By applying the laws, now they're everywhere. Every one of these things that I'm going to show you today is written over the last 5,000 years. The problem is, who wants to read across 5,000 years of history? A lot of achievement and success is in Think and Grow Rich, and I am a global expert on that. My program is steeped in that, including one of my bestsellers from 2014. So I do this because when you see what I'm going to show you, it will feel like coming home. We're really born with everything that we need. And so look for this to resonate with you. Resonance is having a similar vibration. And we're going to talk about that, but it's more like frequency. Okay. So we're going to step up manifestation by germinating the seed of your idea. Okay. And I want you to consider this, enjoy this. You know a lot about setting goals, and there are some that you don't know. When you leave here tonight, you will know the laws of achievement. And when you craft a goal from this point on, you will know the checklist to make sure you have your best chance at achieving it. There is no other program like this that I have ever been able to find. And I will tell you, well, why don't I just get on with this, huh? Let's just get on with it. There we go. All right, so this is how we're going to go tonight. This is the agenda. And I want you to know who I am, right? These are my children, my why. And these are my 4 grandchildren. And 2 are theirs, and 2 belong to one, and 2 belong to the other. And these are all teenagers now. Okay, this is me. So half of my time, I'm retired after 45 years in corporate. Half of my time is working with small business owners and helping people set and achieve goals quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter, year after year, and having a darn good time. My intention is always that my clients have a wealth, health, and happiness daily mindset. That is not their goal, but they have the ability to solve emotional issues, things that are challenged through practice. So then we're going to go through the process of germinating, right? The seed, your idea. Then we'll internalize it. Then we'll design it. And you'll learn the laws of achievement, and then I'll invite you to a 5-day challenge that I'm doing next week. So anytime you have a question or clarification, if something is confusing to you, don't hesitate to ask the question, because Roger is wonderful at this. Okay, here we go. So you know a little bit. Oops, I got to push the other button. There we go. All right, so this is a little about me. These are my 7 books, starting in 2009. I don't know if you can see this because of the bar, but this one right here is my 2014 bestseller, which was originally written as Think and Grow Rich for Women. Do not ask. And I teach this along with Think and Grow Rich. I wrote this book because Think and Grow Rich is so big, it's thick, and we're used to very quick bullet points. So Champion is all about Think and Grow Rich in bullet point form. Do this, this, this. How do you have a mastermind? You want to have this, 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 and this. Now, I became a coach and consultant with Bob Proctor. I bought into his business in 2008. And I have taught this material in my own every single week since that time. Thousands of people take these certification courses and invest a lot of money and time. Only a handful actually stay with it. I'm a certified speaker, platform speaker, and international. So I've been 15 years and 17,000 hours of study. I've done over 150 masterminds. You see the books. I was 45 years in corporate publishing, which gives me the ability to set the context for a project or goal or intention setting, not only for the small business owner and the entrepreneur, but also for the emerging enterprise. And my flagship program is now in a technology company for the last 2 years, where I have 4 6-month cohorts where I teach my work to all the leaders in the company and all the way down to the receptionist. So this is the missing piece that has people leaving the job, because the mindset piece isn't there for so many businesses. But if a business is willing to invest in this kind of work, awareness, leadership, training, then you'll keep your employees. So sang in a rock band in the 60s, flew troops into and out of Vietnam in 1967, and I majored in drama and humanities. And in 1963, I performed on stage before Burt Lancaster at UCLA. Now, all you young people won't even know who that is, but Roger knows. So that's about me. I'm the real deal. And when you work with me, you get the whole package. I teach you everything I know. Now, the challenge is to show this to you so it doesn't blow your mind, right? So my unique ability is to articulate complex concepts in a very simple form. This is why it works so well. And it's taken years to figure it out. All right, so the first thing is let's germinate. And what you want to know is that there are 2 kinds of seeds. So I want you to consider this. I'm going to take you on a journey, and I'm going to walk you through what happens when you take an idea and you actually achieve it. It's actually a bit of alchemy. Merlin did it, but I will tell you that all the writers and movies about Merlin, the magician, they have you believe he did it overnight. But what if it wasn't overnight? What if it wasn't overnight, a flash in the pan? What if it took him years? They never tell you that. So what I want you to know is that you are a magician. You are an alchemist. You have been changing thought energy into physical form since you were little. Like before, when you were like 2, or even earlier than that. The power here is in distinguishing what is it that you did so you can repeat it, right? So we all have everything we need. So the first thing you want to know is that there are 2 kinds of seeds. This is the physical seed. This is an acorn. And you can see that it was planted and it started a root. And there's your oak tree. Now, when you take an acorn that's lying on the ground, it's a dying seed. Once it's planted, you could slice it open and look under a high-powered microscope at the acorn. and there would be no oak tree. There's no little miniature oak tree inside the acorn, is there? What is embodied in the acorn is the DNA, the amplitude or vibrational frequency required for that acorn to attract to it whatever it needs to become the oak tree. Sun, nutrients, and you can even predict when it will pop through the ground, right? I mean, they do this all the time. They know how long, when you plant things, it's going to take through experience. So that's the first kind of seed. Inside that acorn is the DNA. Now, the next seed is the energetic seed, or thought energy, which is your idea. When we set a goal, we get an idea. And by the way, all ideas are already here. It just takes someone to figure it out. There was nobody knew how to fly a plane until somebody got the idea and they said, this is what I want to do. And they figured it out. So there's really nothing that you can't do. As long as you know the laws of achievement, you can get it done quickly. So this is the second kind of seed. And I will tell you that it works like the physical seed. And it's our job to embed the DNA in the idea from when you begin with your goal until its manifestation. And that is you actually hold it in your hand. So if you can hold it in your head, you can hold it in your hand. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Because I don't want to go on unless there's something not clear. I want you to be clear.
There are no questions.
Okay, moving right along. Now, the second piece, this is a picture of me a few years ago. I just wanted to make sure everybody was awake. Okay.
Yeah,
So
well, you woke us all up.
Look at that body. Actually, that's Jason. That's a goal for me. Okay. So what happens is that thought energy moves into physical form. Now, first of all, only humans can do this. Only human beings can take an idea and fall in love with it and actually achieve it. It could be, if you want to be TEDx. I mean, you know, it is a big love, and there's a big commitment, and there's a big why behind it. And effectively what happens, ideas are all here. Assume that they're all here. They're not in your head. They're in the ether, and they flow. See now, 1, 2, 3, 4, from form, which is thought energy.
Leslie, I'm sorry, I accidentally muted you.
It won't be the first time that I was muted. That's influence, baby. That's influence, Roger. Okay, so thought energy, the idea flows from form, that form of thought energy, through form, to form first. So we get the idea and we think about it in our conscious mind, okay? And we decide, oh, I want to set that goal. Or we even get a wild idea from the universe that we never thought of before. And we think, gosh, wow, I wonder if I can do that. And you'll see how you do that. But whether it's an idea out of the blue or it's a goal that you set, it goes from thought energy, the idea, to your conscious mind, to form. Then over the next 3 months, this is where the how. So I'm teaching the what and why, but the how occurs over about 3 months. Ideally, 90 days is a nice setting for goals. It's long enough that you can stay disciplined and build new habits and beliefs and get the work done. But it's not too long that you give up. I'm looking at the time here. I got to step on it. So it flows from form to form, and then through form. So the ideas use us. Without a human being with conscious awareness, we would have nothing but trees and grass and dirt and bugs and birds. There would be no homes and cars or anything. So it's really a gift. Then ultimately, when you manifest it, it's back into form. Now, if you give up on your goal during the through form piece, for whatever reason, it circulates right back into the universe and someone else will get the idea. And you've all had this experience where somebody got your idea that you never did. And you say to your friend, that was my idea. Remember, we talked about it, but you gave up on it. You didn't plant the seed. Now, let me show you the next slide. I want to look at this another way. I put this over here now. So here's what's actually happening. This is an image of the mind, if you will. We think in pictures. Genevieve Behrend in 1921 wrote Your Invisible Power. She was the only student of Thomas Troward in 1900, around that area. He was the head of mental science, and she was the only woman that worked with him. And she said, everything is created twice. First, in an image in your mind, and then in physical form. So as I said here, first the idea goes into your conscious mind. You're aware of it. The conscious mind can accept or reject. That's simple. All right. You don't like it, you can step away, you can put in earplugs, you can shut off the TV. It doesn't matter how it gets there, but the way it moves through form is through repetition in spaced increments over time. So first you get the idea, you decide, I'm going to accept it. So now we're moving the idea into through form. This is where the work is. This is where the 90 days roughly is, where you have to be diligent. And when you apply the laws of achievement, you will see that you will have your best shot and you can reproduce it and repeat it every 90 days and build that momentum. One thing I forgot to share with you. This seed we calculate, this one, the universe determines. There are 7 universal laws when the idea will manifest. So this saves you from being impatient with your goal. There are 7 universal laws, and these laws work all the time, whether you know about them or not. And when you learn about how to communicate what you want through the frequency you hold, the high vibration, right? The resonance with the universe, you'll notice that things show up quickly. And the law that governs by when your goal will actually manifest is called the law of gestation or gender. So once you know that all we can do as humans is do everything we know to send the message to the universe and the world that this is what we want, and we're moving toward it. Now, over the 3 months, what's happening is this idea is impressed into the subconscious mind. Now, we use the heart as an example of the subconscious mind. That's what the ancient Greeks called the subconscious, was the heart of hearts. Effectively, your subconscious mind only accepts what is deliberately or even by default impressed in spaced intervals over time into the subconscious mind. Now, once it's there, those are your beliefs, your habits, your paradigms, And every one of them, positive or negative, has an associated emotion. Most of the beliefs in our subconscious mind are not positive. So what we're doing and what we do with this system and my flagship program is to break it down into the steps and do exactly what is required by our co-creator to get the best and quickest return on what it is we want. And you can't see what your beliefs are. You can't reject one once you have it. But what you can do is create a goal. And when you achieve it, it's a new belief, a belief in your ability and in your deservability. Because when you set a goal that you've never done before, even if it's just a little outside your comfort zone, once you achieve it, you go, oh, I didn't know I could do that. I was pretty good at it. And if you didn't think you deserved it, you have proof of faith that you did. So we're outweighing the old beliefs that have a dialogue that's going to tell you, you can't do that. You've never done that, or you tried that before and you failed. Within the first, before you can take a breath when you get a new idea, the first thing that happens instantly is all the reasons you can't do it. And people call it mind chatter. It's the expression of your limiting beliefs, the emotion of your limiting beliefs. So we can't get rid of it, but how we know what we believe is through our results, because your results will always match what you believe you're capable of or deserving of. Questions? Anybody? Am I confusing you, Roger? You're scratching your head. Is anything wrong here? Okay, got it.
I'm
Okay.
scratching my ear because there was an itch.
I got it. Okay. So it's a 4-step process. You get the idea. Then it has to go through you. You've got to get in action. Well, we have to be motivated to stay in action. We're bombarded with all sorts of wonderful things, right, that we can do. And we lose focus a lot. And it's hard to stay on track. So there is a bit of work. And it's in those 3 months that seed, that thought energy plants itself in the subconscious, where it emits the resonating vibration required to attract to you everything you need to achieve it, people and opportunities. How often have you said to yourself, when you're moving toward a goal and somebody shows up that has the exact answer that you've been asking about, and you go, boy, is that a coincidence? Consider it's not at all. That when you understand the unseen part of what's going on, you really can do these things and be happy, healthy, and wealthy every day. If you get into a challenge, get over it fast because you have the tools. So your subconscious holds your beliefs. Now, this is how I can have a completely opposite view than you. Take a look at the United States in politics. How can these people think this way? How can these people think this way? It's crazy. Everybody's belief works for them. You must respect it. It lives like the truth. The elevated aware person can stay objective enough to ask, why are you so sure you're right? And that is synergy. It's actually synergizing with someone else. But everybody's point of view is correct for them. You know, if I held a big prism right here in my hand, a big prism, and I asked you all, we were all in the same room, let's pretend. Or even you could be looking at the screen, but let's pretend we're together. And I asked you all to tell me what you see, and you had to look at the room through the prism. The room doesn't change, but your view does. So whatever it is you allow, whether you know about it or not, whether it's positive or negative, in consistent space intervals over time, repeatedly, you will end up believing. The best one for poverty is we can't afford that until. We have to wait for this until. How many times did you hear we couldn't have any money? Or we didn't have any money, we couldn't get that thing. Now you believe that abundance is not yours. You believe the opposite, which is another law, the law of polarity. So we've covered the law of gestation. This law has a big title. It's another of the 7, and it's transmutation of radiant energy. All that really is taking the thought energy and transmuting it into physical form. Pretty simple, actually. Oh, I better move me out of the way. Here we go. All right. So we're talking about DNA here. Our job is to populate the idea with the DNA and the factors that will move you toward manifestation quickly and that are aligned with the universe. Now, you know a lot of these because through practice, you do understand some of these. The problem becomes the ones that you don't know, which gives you haphazard results. And this is what I've been working on for 15 years. It works. So I want to do a true and false with you. Are you ready to play? Yes, you can do true or bad. You can do it in the chat. I'm not looking at the chat. I'll let Roger monitor that. And if you want to say something, you can too. You can unmute and say something. I don't mind if you raise your hand. If I can see it, I'll be happy to call on you, Roger, if it's okay for them to unmute themselves. We've got, we got about 10, 15 minutes. It should work perfectly. Okay, so let's start with the very first thing. The purpose of a goal is to make money. Is that true or is that false?
False.
You think it's false?
I do.
Anybody else? Jason
Yeah,
says it's
false.
false too. Does anybody think it's true?
I think it's true.
You think it's true? Anybody else think it's true? So let me share with you that the purpose of a goal is to motivate you into action. Simply said, if it doesn't motivate you into action, pick another goal. Remember, this is your goal. So you can decide these are the things that you want to apply. But first we want to see what you know. So the first one, if you said that it's true, it's actually false. The purpose of a goal is to motivate you into action. Okay, nothing wrong. You're just evaluating what you do know so that you can take the things you didn't know and now you have a complete list. Now, when you set a goal, you can go, ta, 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 ta. That's what we want to do. Okay, so do you think this is true or false? Set an exact date that you're going to complete it. Jason says true. Anybody else? You can do it in the chat. You can unmute. Roger?
True.
You think it's true? Anybody else?
I'd say false.
You would say false, Tam. Okay, so Tam, tell us why you think that it is false. What's your thinking on that?
Oh, I say true in the chat. I don't know.
I said false.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see. I have a hard time seeing everybody. So why did you say that it was false? Just curious.
Yeah, because I don't believe that you can put a specific date to something. If the universe if it's in the, you know, the universe is getting it together for you, I think you can't really determine the exact time when it'll be ready.
Got it.
You have to go with it. You go with it.
And so I appreciate that thinking. So let me share another way to look at this. And I don't see your name. So you could, if you could say when you speak your name, then I can respond to you that way. You do set the exact date for completion. You're sending a message to the universe with everything you know that this is when you want it. It's motivating. So say, for example, I want, next year, I'd like to have a beach house. So in Q4, sometime in December, I'd like to have a beach house. Or it's December 15th, and I've just put a down payment on my beach house. which is motivating. So in this instance, this law says you say the exact date. It's more exciting. I'd much rather picture myself December 15th in my new beach house than maybe someday. This will raise your vibration. The whole idea as you move towards your goal that you have a very wonderful feeling or emotion about this thing that you want. Next one. What do you guys think? Set several goals to work on at a time. Anybody? True, false? What do you think? Jason says false. Anybody think it's true? How many people do set several goals at once?
I do.
I know. One at a time. Thank you very much. The way to manifest and load up the idea with the vibration, the frequency required to attract what it is that you need, just like the acorn for the oak tree, we have to attract through who we're being the same vibration. So if we're excited about something, then people who are also involved in that, on that thought frequency, will show up in your life and give you the answers. Not a coincidence. There are no coincidences. I know it looks that way, but look at it a different way. What if you are the source of everything? What if we do have a co-creator? What if we actually are alchemists? Just because we don't know how it works yet doesn't mean it's not working, right? So one goal at a time works best. Now, I'm not the first person to say this, and 90 days is not, I'm not the first person to come up with that, but I've done it over 9.5 years and 37 or 38 business quarters. And I can tell you, one goal at a time that you really want is the way to do this. Okay, how many people think you should write down your goal? Or you think it's not necessary? So Roger says we should write down our goal. Jason says it's true. Dot says it's true. Awesome. It's true, but most people don't. There was a Harvard study in the 60s where they tracked MBAs who had written down their goals, a certain number of them, and then they tracked them for 20 years, and those people that wrote them down all were much more successful than the people didn't. One of the quotes I love by Leland Val Vanderwall is, writing causes thinking. Thinking causes pictures. The pictures have an associated emotion. And it's that vibration, that way that you feel, that loads the DNA. The happier and more excited you are about your goal, the faster it will manifest. So these are the things to load the DNA on its 3-month trek from when you set it to when you're going to get it. Here's a good one. Share a goal with anybody. Share your goal with anybody who will listen. Anybody. Declare it into the universe. Is that true or false? Dot says true. Anybody else? Anybody think it's false? Caitlin has something she wants to ask, I think.
Yeah, it was 2 back.
Oh, well, go ahead.
So when we're only manifesting one goal at a time,
Mhm,
what
mhm.
happens, because this happens in life, when multiple things happen at the same, like that saying, everything happens in threes?
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Okay, so this is where my work comes in the how. So if you've been working with me for several quarters, what occurs is you start bearing fruit from several quarters before. So you have your plan of your one goal, right? And then all of a sudden this huge contract drops in your lap, right? Well, what do? So the thing is that you have to honor the new fruit. So this is the rare occasion when that becomes your goal, or you make time for it. Okay, still only one goal. Now think about that a little bit and rephrase the question and come back a little later so that you can ask me another way, because I'm not sure I answered it effectively for you. I want you to be clear. One goal, go ahead.
Sorry, I missed that. My internet completely cut out, like right when you started talking.
Oh no, oh no. Who is that, Caitlin?
Yeah, I can always look at the recording though.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see if we have time, because it's 8:46 and I want to get through this. It's really important to get all of this in. Okay. Do not share this goal with people, particularly your family. You know, in Luke 4:1, it says you'll never be a prophet in your own home. Your family, that's right, Roger, don't share it. Your family loves you and they're afraid you're going to leave them. And that's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So only share your goal because it has no root when it starts. So your natural tendency is to think, well, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know how. And if you start telling people that don't know what you're doing, they're going to go, well, Leslie, that's a bad idea. You've never done that before. And then you give it up and it circulates right back into the universe and someone else gets that idea. Only with your mastermind partners or your accountability partners or people that are on the same journey that you're on. Now, once you get about 2 months into the 3 months, when people start showing up and you start recognizing, oh, wow, this is the answer I've been waiting for, that's when you can start to share, because the seed is almost planted in the subconscious mind. You're seeing the signs of faith. You're seeing people and opportunities show up. Wow, I was just thinking about that and look what showed up. That is not a coincidence. All right, the next one is wait until you have the money you will need before you start. True or false? I see a false. I see a false. It is false. You don't need 1 penny to start on your goal. Not 1 cent to get yourself in action and motivated. If you want to climb a mountain, you get online and you find a local place that has equipment and instructors. That doesn't cost anything, but you're motivated and you're in action. You're already in the vibration of, oh, I'm going to climb a mountain. The next one, this is tricky. A goal can be something you want or something you need. True or false? I got a true and I got a false. Anybody else? That's a true. Ava's a true. Want. Need is, you're going to put food on the table. Only set a goal for something that you want, not something you need. You're setting the goal. It's only 1 for a quarter. Is it going to be groceries? No, you're still going to get groceries. You're still going to work, but your goal is something you want very, very much. So it cannot be either or. It is something you want. Now, the next one is plot out all the steps from start to finish of your goal. True or false? False. Teresa. False, true, true, false. Interesting. Don't do that. You only need 1 or 2 steps to start. If you plot it out based on what you know, you're going to run into more obstacles and you won't be paying attention to the people and opportunities that show up. You see, the goal won't change, but the path will. All you need are the first 2 steps to get into action. Then you're motivated, you're in action physically at a very high vibration, moving towards something you want very much. The next one is focus on why you set the goal rather than how you're going to do it. And that is true. The how is going to bring up fear. You've not done it before. Now, why is what you want to focus on? What will it make available? What is the impact of your having this thing? How will it benefit people in your company, people in the community, in the world, your why? So don't worry about how. You don't have to know how. And that flies in the face of everything we've thought of, right? Everything that we know. Well, you got to know how to do it. No, that's one of the neat things, is that as co-creators, the universal laws are working all the time. And you've already got the law of gender or gestation that says all seeds take time to grow. And I'll tell you exactly when you manifest. I've already shown you the second law, which is the transmutation of radiant energy, simply taking thought energy and moving it into physical matter in 4 steps. And it's a huge process, but over 20 years, I've figured out what are the 4 steps. Now, so, okay. The next one is start now, regardless of circumstances. You think that's true? It is. You don't need any money. You only need a couple of steps. Don't wait. Do it right then when the idea is hot. Now, this one is reduce the goal if you're running out of time. So you set the goal for 90 days and, oh my God, it looks like I'm not going to make it to the end. Should you reduce it? Anybody?
No.
That's correct. Never reduce your goal. You can expand it and the path will change, but never reduce your goal. You'll lose the motivation. The number one thing is that you have to stay motivated into action. Now, there's one last one here, which is change the goal immediately if you notice that you're fearful. What do you think about that?
No.
That's right. Fear is your indicator that it's a great goal. Now, it's your benchmark, so don't hang out there. So if you do, you should be a little nervous and you should be afraid. You actually should, because you haven't done it before. It would be normal for you to be a little bit afraid, but it's only an indicator that this is a good goal, nothing more. So now these are the laws of achievement. And you can see that the helix is all filled in. You want to be motivated into action, have an exact date for completion, set one goal at a time, write it down in great detail, share it only with people that are doing the same work as you initially. You don't need a dime. It's got to be something you want. You only need 1 to 2 steps to start. Focus heavily on why you want it. What will it make available to people? Start now, regardless of circumstances. Never reduce the goal. And you ought to be a little afraid. And those are the laws of achievement. This is what populates the DNA. So when you craft your goal, if you've gone through this and it hits all the bells, or as many as you can, that's going to manifest more quickly because you're aligned and resonate with the universe. Now, the last thing, and I'll take questions if we have any time left. The last thing is, this is kind of a special thing for you. You know, we talk about confidence a lot, but it's a byproduct of achievement. It's a muscle that grows in direct proportion to its use. So when you set and achieve in consistent spaced intervals over time after time, your muscle of confidence grows. Oh, I did it. I'm so good. Particularly important for women, also for men. So there isn't a course you can go to get confidence. You have to generate it through achievement. Oops, and doing good on time. Okay. This is the call to action. If you love this, come to my Art of Results Masterclass next week. I'm going to show you the framework for setting and achieving a goal that I use with my clients each day for 1 hour. And by Friday, you will have a half-page plan with your goal that you will achieve, exactly why you want it, what you have to do, what service you're giving in return. And all you need to do to register, it's complimentary, is go to leslie-flowers.com and you'll land right on the landing page. come and have lunch. Of course, 1 o'clock, 1 to 2 is going to be what, 10 your time? Bring breakfast. And it could be 9 p.m. in Hong Kong if you're on the other side of the world. This is the 7th time I've done this over 21 months. And of course, you'll have an opportunity to go into a deeper dive with me and work with me in my flagship program. But this part allows you to get a sense of what this work is.
Leslie, you have a question from Teresa. Teresa would like to know, what are 2 of your favorite goals that you personally have achieved by applying this method?
Well, one of my goals was, it was a kind of a 10-year goal. And in 18 months, I finally set it to take my family, my 2 children, their spouses, and my 4 grandchildren on a Disney cruise the week before Thanksgiving. And it was between Omicron and what was the first variant? I can't think of what it is, Delta. So it was the perfect time. We had 2 staterooms on the concierge level. And that was it, because it was a huge financial goal. That was one of my most favorite goals. The other goal was when I met Bob Proctor and I decided to go into business with him and learn all of his teachings. I had made the decision in late 07, and then finally the question, how much is it going to cost? And they said in 2007, $16,000. I had $500 in my Edward Jones account, and I said, I'll be there in the spring. I knew this is what I wanted to do. There was no question. I had a huge desire to do it. And a windfall occurred a few months later of $16,000. And I showed up in West Palm, and I've never looked back, never. So that effectively completes my presentation. And there's one thing I want to share with you. Are there any more questions, Roger?
There was a little confusion about complimentary or paid.
Complimentary. So typically this course, the 5 hours, is $197 if you do it in a group. This is absolutely no charge. You will have a workbook. It will be recorded. You want to show up live each day on Zoom. And when you go to register, there will be no charge. I do this because I love the look in your eyes once you complete the course. Do we have time to hear a moment from Carol Lee? Oh, wait, here comes a question from Jason. Yes, Jason.
Question is should you finance, like for instance, the goal is to write a book or make a product? Should you finance it if you don't have the money? Like say it's $5,000 to write a book, to publish and everything, then should you do that?
No, write the book.
Write the book and
Yes.
wait to publish it?
Well, I mean, it's going to take you a few months to write the book. And in the meantime, then the next goal could be, well, and while you're working, start stuffing money aside, because even a self-published book is going to cost you about $5,000 basic minimum. But no, do not finance it. You don't need to. If you set this up, if the book has value and it has a brilliant why, like you have to serve these people with this, you're the one to do it. And you and I could do the same thing, Jason, but not everybody would resonate with me. They would resonate more with you and some people, right? So it's really important that your why drives you, and write the book. The money will come to you. Don't worry about that. It's in, as the Thoreau quote, you will meet with success in hours uncommon. So your success is going to be people and opportunities that show up in your ability to recognize them for what they are. Does that make sense?
Yes, most definitely. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes. Any
So-
other question?
Before you move to Carol Lee,
Yes.
Teresa wants to know who Bob Proctor is and what is his value to you.
Bob Proctor is the world's, he just passed away February 3rd in his 80s. He is the world's master thought leader of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. This book is the #2 bestseller of all time, only to the Bible. And it has within it the exact blueprint for everybody to be a millionaire. So you might think to yourself, well, if everybody can be a millionaire and 70 billion copies have been sold, how come there aren't more millionaires? Because we want, but we aren't willing. And it is that willingness that puts us into action. I studied at his knee for 2 years, and then I broke away. I already had 10 years in personal development and many other disciplines to create my own platform. He is the master of Think and Grow Rich. All the greats in personal development, pretty much all of them, their programs are based on Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Name me someone big in personal development, and in their work, you'll find the principles of success. Does that help, Teresa? Carolee, did you have something you wanted to share, or you were going to share?
Yes, thank you so much, Leslie. I've taken Leslie's 5-day complimentary course, and it really resonated with me because I needed to really focus on my business. I work at home like a lot of us do. I love to do so many things, like get out and do my garden and tons of stuff, and yet I want to build my business. So I really needed to focus. And Leslie's really helped me because I do tend to make a huge goal or lots of goals, and then I never feel successful. So taking even a huge goal and breaking it down into 90-day littler goals to work along that path has been very valuable for me. And I thank you so much, Leslie. I'm a lot happier in my work. Thanks.
It was so much fun. You know, are there any other questions? Because there's one last thing I want to share with all of you. So this is your last opportunity to ask. You can always reach me.
No further questions. If you could make your concluding comments, that would be wonderful.
I'm doing it right now. Remember, when you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet single sound of the lark. That's it.
Leslie, that was beautiful. On behalf of EIN's 73,000 members, I thank you hugely for giving us insight into setting goals better meaning greater probability of actually achieving them. So thank you to the moon and back.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, my friend.